All right, let's get right into it. I want you to picture a prison, but forget about steel bars and concrete walls. Imagine one that's totally invisible, built miles above our heads and closing in on us at thousands of miles per hour. Today, we're talking about something called the 40-minute cage. And no, this isn't the plot of some sci-fi blockbuster. This is a very real possibility. A kind of theoretical doomsday switch that, if it ever gets flipped, could cut us off from the rest of the universe for good. So the big question we're digging into is, could we accidentally lock ourselves on our own planet? To really understand this threat, we have to look up, way up, into that seemingly empty void surrounding our planet. We're talking about low Earth orbit, where most of our satellites hang out. Except, it turns out, it's not so empty after all. I mean, think about it. Since the dawn of the space age, we've been on this incredible journey, right? Every single launch was a huge leap forward, a push into that final frontier. But with every step we took, we left a footprint, a trail of forgotten, broken, discarded pieces. And that brings us to the villain of our story. But this isn't some killer asteroid or an alien invasion. No, this is something we created, a massive, high-speed junkyard circling the Earth right now. We call it space debris, or, space junk. And it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. We are talking about everything from bus-sized rocket boosters that are just tumbling through space, all the way down to tiny flecks of paint that have chipped off satellites over the years. The scale of this problem is it's staggering. Right now, estimates suggest there are over 100 million pieces of this junk larger than a millimeter orbiting our planet. 100 million. And every single one is basically a bullet in a cosmic shooting gallery. Now, I know what you're thinking. A fleck of paint? Seriously? How dangerous can that be? And that is the absolute key to all of this. Because up there, in the vacuum of space, it's not about how big something is. It's all about how fast it's moving. So let's put this into perspective, okay? A speeding bullet travels at, maybe 1,800 miles per hour. The average piece of junk up there is screaming through orbit at nearly 10 times that speed, around 17,500 miles per hour. At those speeds, the physics gets really simple and really, really scary. It's all about kinetic energy. That tiny fleck of paint we were just talking about, it now hits with the destructive force of a hand grenade. Something a little bigger, say the size of a marble, that has the impact of a full-on car crash.
Okay, so this is where it all comes together. How does a high-speed junkyard turn into an inescapable cage? Well, the answer is a terrifying chain reaction, a cascade that could play out in less time than it takes to watch an episode of your favorite show.
So just think about it. You've got millions of tiny projectiles and thousands of much larger targets, our active satellites, old dead ones, spent rocket parts, all whizzing around in the same orbital highways. It's an accident just waiting to happen. In fact, it's already happened. Back in 2009, a dead Soviet satellite smashed into a working US satellite, and boom, in an instant, it created thousands of new pieces of high-speed junk. So an impact like this, it's not a matter of if, but when the next big one kicks off. And this whole terrifying idea, it has a name. It's called the Kessler Syndrome. It was actually proposed way back in the 70s by a NASA scientist who pretty much saw this all coming. He theorized that once the density of junk in orbit hits a certain tipping point, just one collision could set off a catastrophic domino effect. And what's truly mind-bending is how fast it all could escalate. So, step one, it starts with just one collision. That impact shatters both objects, creating thousands of new projectiles. Step three, each of those projectiles then goes on to hit another object, creating thousands more. You see where this is going? It's an exponential chain reaction of destruction that just feeds on itself. And some theorists believe it could make low Earth orbit completely unusable in as little as 40 minutes. And that's it, the 40-minute cage. So, what would that actually mean for us, you and me, down here on the ground? It's really easy to dismiss this as some far-off problem for astronauts and rocket scientists. But the reality is, it would affect every single one of us, immediately. Being trapped on Earth wouldn't just be some philosophical tragedy, cutting us off from exploring the cosmos. It would be a technological catastrophe, because so much of our 21st century world depends entirely on that fragile infrastructure we've built in orbit. The losses would be instant and devastating. No more GPS, so your phone's map, gone. Global shipping and aviation, total chaos. Our global communication networks would be shredded. Weather forecasting would be knocked back decades. And, of course, the International Space Station and any hope for future human space exploration would be completely, totally gone. At the end of the day, the Kessler syndrome isn't just about space. It's a chain reaction that would ripple down through our entire civilization. It would cripple the global economy and basically send us back to a pre-digital age, isolating nations and continents from one another. It's a pretty sobering thought, isn't it? For 60 years, we've looked up at the stars as our future, as the next great step for humanity. But what if, this whole time, we've been unknowingly building the walls of our own prison? It's the ultimate irony, really. The very same ambition that drove us to reach for the heavens could be the exact thing that forever chains us to Earth. A cage built from our own progress, built from our own discarded dreams. And that's really the question we're left with. Our journey into space has defined who we are. It's given us technologies and perspectives we couldn't have even imagined. But as we stand here on the edge of a brand new space age, we have to ask ourselves, are we building a pathway to the stars, or are we just adding more bars to our own cage?